It dropped without warning, just 19 seconds long, a shaky, grainy clip that seemed like nothing. Until Meghan Markle's voice pierced the silence. "I deserve that crown, not her." Within minutes, the internet was ablaze. #royal leak rocketed to the top of Twitter. TikTok stitched it into 1,000 conspiracies. Was it real? Was it AI? Who was she talking about? But then came the timestamp and the location: Kensington Palace. The private drawing room. Closed door. No press. And suddenly, it wasn't just gossip. It was war. Insiders whispered about a hidden camera. Others blamed a staff member, a mole inside the monarchy. And for those watching closely, this wasn't just a slip of the tongue. This was a declaration, a quiet battle inside the House of Windsor, now bursting into public flame. The question is no longer if the palace was breached, but who let her in. And why now? Before the whisper turned into a war cry, the world had already seen the cracks. Meghan and Kate, once hailed as the future of a modern monarchy, never quite clicked. There were smiles for the cameras, yes, polite nods, perfect posture. But behind the palace walls, tension. It started, they say, over a flower girl dress. One of them cried, the other didn't, and the press twisted the truth until no one could remember what actually happened. What we do know is this: that day was just the beginning. Public appearances turned icy, glances that never met. Kate, ever composed; Meghan, ever distant. Two women, two different worlds, and one throne between them. Then came the storm. Meghan and Harry's royal exit sent shockwaves through the firm. Their Oprah interview detonated the fallout: accusations of racism, silence from the palace, a family divided. The media machine went into overdrive. Team Sussex vs. Team Windsor. And yet, through it all, Meghan's words were careful, pointed, yes, but restrained. Until now, this isn't a headline. This is a breach. The leaked footage wasn't meant for public eyes. No Netflix crew, no official documentation, no smiling handlers in view. Just Meghan behind closed doors saying the one thing you're never supposed to say: I deserved that crown. And suddenly, everything that had been hinted, whispered, speculated, ignited. Here's what we know. July 17, the clip drops on a fringe Twitter account with under 200 followers. July 18, royal reporters start digging. Claims of deep fake spread. July 19, it hits the front page of every UK tabloid. The BBC breaks its silence. Royal aides go dark. No denials, no retractions, just silence. And if you know the palace, you know, silence is the loudest statement of all. This isn't just drama. It's a constitutional crisis in slow motion. Because if Meghan really said it, if someone inside the palace wanted us to hear it, then we're not just watching a royal feud. We're watching a reckoning unfold in real time. To understand how we got here, we have to go back not to the wedding, not to the Oprah interview, but to Meghan's final year inside the firm. By early 2020, the fairy tale had already cracked. Meghan's smile had grown sharper, Kate's silence louder, and the palace, that ancient machine of control and compliance, was beginning to buckle. Insiders noticed changes. Meghan stopped attending key events. Private meetings with Charles ended early. And quietly, behind the scenes, something far more unusual was happening. Requests, according to a leaked 2023 email allegedly written by a former palace aide. Meghan began asking for access to restricted palace areas, hallways with no press, rooms without cameras, low surveillance spaces, the staffer wrote. Not standard for a working royal. The email, dated just weeks before her final walkout, ends on a chilling note. She knows where the blind spots are, and I'm starting to think she's not walking them alone. That staffer was let go within a month. The palace denied the email's authenticity, but the timing? Suspicious. At the center of it all is Corridor B12, a long wood-paneled hallway deep within Kensington Palace. Once used for private meetings between royals, it had been closed off after a 2017 security audit. Cameras decommissioned. Keycard access revoked for most staff. It was supposed to be silent, still, forgotten. But someone remembered, because that's where the leaked footage was recorded. Security officers confirmed something strange. No official log shows Meghan entering the corridor on the day of the recording. No visitor ID swipe. No escort listed. Nothing. Which means one of two things happened. She was let in, or she was never officially logged in the first place. Either scenario points to the same staggering truth. This wasn't a slip-up. It was a calculated entry. into a space designed to be off limits. And it gets worse. Kate's calendar, confirmed by 2 royal correspondents, placed her just 2 doors down from that very corridor, scheduled for a solo fitting session. No press, no security tail, just her, a stylist, and a closed door. So now the questions begin. Did Meghan know Kate would be there? Did she come to confront her or to leave behind a message? Because the footage may be short, but the timing, the location, it's too perfect to ignore. Someone told Meghan when to be there. Someone opened that door, and whoever helped her is still inside. It's less than a minute long, but it's the most explosive footage the royal family has faced since Diana's panorama interview. The clip begins in near silence. A narrow hallway, lit only by soft sconces. A grainy black and white timestamp flickers. October 23, 2023, 3:41 p.m. Kate stands alone, back turned, facing a tall set of double doors, and then from the left frame Meghan enters. No announcement, no hesitation. She walks in like she belongs there. Experts later enhance the audio. You can hear the heels, you can hear the breath, and then barely above a whisper comes the first line. That title was never yours. Kate turns slowly. Her face doesn't register. Shock, not fear, just resignation. As if she knew this confrontation was always coming. Body language analysts flooded TikTok and YouTube within hours. Kate's posture, frozen, hands clasped, then unclasped. A flicker of her eyes to the ceiling, classic stress response, according to behavioral experts. But what struck viewers the most was what didn't happen. No security, no interruption, no alarm. To women, one silent standoff, and then the clip ends. No context, no follow-up, just a single seismic moment. The chaos online was immediate. Why didn't Kate react? Who filmed this? Why were the corridor cameras working if they were supposed to be disabled? Palace sources scrambled. No statement, no clarification, no denial, and that silence again only fueled the fire. Then came the tweets. Former royal staffer Caroline Reading, who hasn't spoken publicly in years, posted just 8 words. You're watching the footage, but not asking who told Meghan where to go. Within minutes, the tweet was deleted, but screenshots exploded across Reddit and X, and suddenly, the narrative shifted, because this wasn't just a rogue moment. It was a message. Royal biographers Wade and Tom Bradshaw, who covered Diana's final year, told The Telegraph, the tone, the setting, this wasn't improvisation. This was performance. Calculated, precise, deliberate. Former staff leaked details anonymously. There were whispers about Meghan visiting during renovations when security protocols were looser. Someone let her through the side gate. It wasn't a confrontation, it was a setup. Theories swirled. Some claimed the camera system was secretly rebooted months earlier, not by security, but by a contractor tied to Netflix. Others blamed a disgruntled aide passed over for promotion with access to the server room. But in every theory, one constant remains. This wasn't accidental. Because think about it. Why that corridor? Why that exact minute? Why that line? That title was never yours. It wasn't just an insult. It was a declaration, not just to Kate, but to the entire monarchy. In Meghan's voice, you hear it. Years of restraint breaking. Years of control unraveling. Years of feeling silence now exploding into a single, weaponized moment. And if you watch closely, Kate doesn't fight back. She doesn't scream. She doesn't walk away. She just stares. As if she knows what Meghan's doing and knows she can't stop it. Because this isn't just personal. This is institutional. Meghan didn't just walk into a hallway. She walked into a war, one waged in silence, in shadows, and now, on camera. This wasn't a leak. It was sabotage, and someone inside the palace helped her pull the pin. The palace moved quickly. Not with words but with force. Less than 48 hours after the leak, the royal household initiated a full-scale internal investigation. This wasn't damage control. This was crisis protocol. The same procedures activated during terrorist threats, intelligence breaches, and royal death plots. All staff devices audited, work phones confiscated, personal laptops scanned, signal activity reviewed by the palace's internal cyber unit and by MI5, called in quietly under the pretense of technical support. Keycard access logs were pulled, security override triggers traced. Anyone near Corridor B12 that week was placed under immediate review. The corridors of royalty had become the corridors of a manhunt, and then a breakthrough. MI5 analysts flagged a short burst transmission from palace grounds, 2 hours before the footage went public, encrypted, off-network, pinged through a private relay server in Luxembourg. In plain terms, someone inside uploaded the footage, and they covered their tracks like a professional. A follow-up memo now leaked reveals even more. We are investigating the reputational exploitation of non-public palace spaces by former affiliates with advanced external assistance. Reputational exploitation, former affiliates, external assistance. Those three phrases open the door to something much darker than a royal feud. They open the door to legal escalation, behind closed doors. Lawyers whispered terms like foreign collusion, bribery, sabotage for personal gain. Was a third party funding this breach? Was the corridor confrontation filmed with knowledge it would go viral? Was it, in some twisted way, a premiere? And suddenly, everything Meghan had ever said was under a new lens. In the Oprah interview, she said, "I wasn't protected." At the time, many took that to mean emotionally. Now, the tone hits differently. Was it a warning? Was she trying to say the palace had always underestimated what she was capable of? The public narrative began to shift, not fully in her favor, but not against her either. The backlash dulled, replaced with something colder, sharper, almost respectful. TikTok creators spliced her old interviews into the leaked footage, rebranding it as a power play. "You're not watching a scandal," one viral post said. "You're watching a woman take back the room they tried to lock her out of." Others called it palace theater, a high-stakes performance of control, memory, and revenge. And while royal loyalists stayed outraged, even some of them had to admit this wasn't a meltdown. It was a move, because if this was revenge, it was meticulous. If it was chaos, it was choreographed. And if it was sabotage, it was the kind only someone on the inside could pull off. Meghan may have left the palace years ago, but this was her final walk through its halls. And she made sure every step echoed. After the explosion came the silence, not the palace as usual, composed no comment, not a carefully crafted press release from Kensington, but a complete blackout, especially from Kate. No public appearances, no charity events, no casual photo ops or school-run glimpses. For 10 days nothing. Royal commentators whispered what many suspected. She'd been silenced, not by fear but by force. "It's likely a legal gag order," one former courtier told The Times. "She knows too much, and too little at the same time." Meanwhile, inside the palace, William was incandescent. Sources close to royal aides said he had spent the very same day, the day of the confrontation, in security briefings regarding camera system upgrades. The fact that footage emerged from a corridor he thought was dormant, a betrayal not just of trust, but of command. And he wasn't just angry at Meghan. He was furious at his own staff. The internal audit became relentless. Every name on the West Wing personnel registry was interviewed. Not just protection officers and senior aides, but caterers, florists, groundskeepers. Anyone who had walked past Corridor B12 in the last 12 months was logged. Access patterns were cross-referenced. One security contractor was dismissed without public explanation. What began as royal gossip had mutated into something far more serious, a national security concern. And for the first time in decades, the British public saw behind the velvet curtain and into the machine that guards the monarchy. Former Mi-6 handler Marcus Ellery called it what the palace refused to. "This is a slow-motion institutional crisis. If your corridors aren't secure, your crown isn't either." The footage wasn't just compromising. It was potentially weaponizable. Was it edited, duplicated, sold? Had foreign outlets already acquired versions we haven't seen? The questions mounted, and in the middle of it all, Meghan said nothing. No tweet, no interview, no denial, not even a lawyer's letter distancing herself from the leak. And that silence, it only deepened the mystery, because silence can mean guilt, or power, or both. Conspiracy theories flooded the internet. Was the footage part of a wider campaign? A series of timed detonations? Some claimed there were more tapes, that this was just the beginning. Others believed Meghan was tipped off by multiple moles, not one, a whisper network inside the monarchy, loyal not to the firm, but to her. Palace aides tried to control the narrative, off the record. They called it an unauthorized re-entry, a deep personal provocation. But by then, it was too late. Public opinion had split clean down the middle. Team Royal saw it as treason, a calculated betrayal of trust, family, and duty. But Team Meghan, They called it righteous disruption, a takedown of tradition, a warning, shot to a centuries-old system that had once tried to erase her. She didn't break in, one viral TikTok said. She walked back in like a woman reclaiming her scene. And perhaps that's what terrified the monarchy most. Not the footage, not the breach, but the possibility that, deep down, she meant for us to see it. In the end, this was never just Meghan versus Kate, not really. It was an institution versus an individual, tradition versus technology, control versus exposure, and the institution blinked first. For centuries, the monarchy thrived on silence, discretion, the unspoken pact that what happens behind gilded doors stays there, but those doors aren't sealed anymore. Not in the age of smartphones, servers, and viral leaks. One quarter, one camera, one woman. That's all it took to send the crown into chaos. So what was Meghan doing? Was she seeking revenge? Or writing the final chapter of a story she never got to finish? Was it sabotage? Or was it survival? Disruptor? Destroyer? Or both? And what does it say about the palace, about power, about all of us that it only took 19 seconds to undo centuries of image? Because if one woman with a camera and a grudge can shake the foundations of the firm, what else don't we know? What's hiding in the other corridors? The ones still in shadow, the ones where the cameras still aren't turned back on. We may never know who leaked the footage, but someone does. Someone still on the inside, still smiling in photos, still shaking hands. So let's ask the question no one in the palace dares speak aloud. Who tipped Meghan off? Drop your theory in the comments. Was it a rogue aide? A sympathetic royal? A ghost from Diana's old circle? Or was it Meghan herself, always one step ahead, even after stepping away? Final image. Kate, same corridor, same lighting, same silence. But this time, she turns to the camera and looks straight into it. Not surprised, not scared, just aware. As if to say, I know you're watching now, because the monarchy may survive scandal. It may survive betrayal, but can it survive being seen?